Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Ryan. Today I'm going to be walking you through operations, everything you need to know, and I do mean everything. So I just completed a nice clean run of one of the operations, and they're pretty long, guys. They're like 30 to 40 minute missions, so they have a whole lot of like replayability there too. They're not always exactly the same. Enemy spawn locations, enemy types, some of that stuff is a little bit randomized, and you can have different outcomes, so your mileage may vary. I'm gonna play this whole operation for you start to finish, and I'll walk you through everything. So here we are. This is at the Battle Barge. This is our sort of staging ground. You've got a console here we can interact with. That's where we pick which operation we're gonna run. But before we do that, we're gonna wanna come down here to the Armory, and we're gonna wanna select our class and our loadout. So a little bit about this real quick. You want to do this first. Obviously, the last thing that you click on is what you're going to go in as. So you've got Tactical, Assault, Vanguard, Bulwark, Sniper, Heavy. It all depends on your playstyle, what you want to do. I like the Vanguard class. I've got it leveled up to 14 at this point. And these are the weapons. And you have Mastery points. You've got Armor currency, Armory points that you can spend as well. I'll talk a bit about how to acquire those in the op itself. But in the op, that's where you're going to be picking up the Armory skill points that you can spend on your weapons. So you want to level up your weapons. Let's say you get them to the XP cap, and you can't earn any more XP until you break through that wall with an Armory upgrade point. We're going to pick one of those up in this op. So let's go with Vox Liberatus. I'll do this one because this one shows both Tyranid combatants and the Chaos enemies, which in this game, the Chaos enemies that we're going to be encountering are from the faction Thousand Suns. They used to be Astartes and good guys, but they ended up sort of, if you're not familiar with the Warhammer lore, they sort of went to the dark side, so to speak, blah, blah, blah. Now they are, and you'll see this in the gameplay, they sort of went through this ritual to sacrifice their physical forms, which I don't think they knew was going to happen when they agreed to it, but they sacrificed their physical forms, sort of turned to dust, and they're sort of like ghostly purplish energy, entities now wrapped inside of armor. Now they do have like human combatants that serve them as well, but the big guys that we're going to be fighting are essentially ghosts entombed in their own armor. They used to be Astartes, and now they have more than just physical abilities. They have some sort of telekinetic abilities as well, sort of psychic damage that they can inflict on us, and I'll show some of that in the gameplay as well. But at the beginning of every mission, you're going to get a little bit of a quick briefing. You get it in the loading screen too. It shows you sort of your main goals and objectives for the mission. I like this one, sort of got steampunk vibes to it. Now, one of the things that you're going to see me do a lot in this operation is I don't just go to the straight, here's where I need to go straight there. If you hold tab on mouse and keyboard, it'll show you your, intended path. But I'm going to go right and left of it. I'm going to search the corners and the nooks and the crannies. That's because in these offshoots, we can find really valuable things. And I'll get to that when we find those things in the gameplay. I'll sort of break those down. So we're just going to be going through this whole operation together. I'll try to maybe timestamp the most important things, but I know a lot of you guys, if you're watching this today, you don't have access to the game yet. I've had it for a week at this point. I'm playing the Vanguard class, so I can use my grapnel launcher to launch in and take the big guys down quickly before they have time to like call for reinforcements. Especially with the Tyranids, they are a hive mind. So taking out the big guys is often a great way to sort of cause a little bit of chaos among the other ones. So I'm just taking the side routes. I'm checking all the corners. There's piles of boxes are one of the things that I'm looking for here. Oh, grapple in here. I have leveled up the Vanguard class quite a bit so that when I do my grapnel launcher kick, when I fly in, it's going to do radial damage as well, so it's good for taking out trash mobs. But I'm just checking the corners here. Like I said, I'm looking for like piles of boxes because these piles of boxes have really valuable resources in them, and you're going to want to be breaking those as you go. You'll find things like temporary armor upgrades where you're going to basically double the amount of armor that you have. These are not the breakable ones. But you can double the amount of armor you have. You can find ammo crates. You can find stim packs, so you can give yourself health on the go. That's a really big part about doing operations successfully is looting as you go so that you have what you need to stay alive. So this isn't the pathway that I need to take, but I do know that there are locations over here where things can spawn, so I'm going to walk over here behind these crates, and this is where I'm going to find one such item. This is a Guardian Relic. So the Guardian Relic, if you hold E, you pick it up, it's now sort of attached to your hip, And what happens is that gives you the ability to cure a mortal wound. So let's say you go down in combat, it'll give you the option to self-revive without somebody coming to pick you up. Now, here we go. This is a giant mob, so we're going to go ahead and toss that grenade in. Boom. It's going to take care of a lot of the trash mobs. We got some bigger guys. You see that shield is popping up. That's because he's crossed his swords in front of him to block the incoming damage, so I move on to a different target. You see that blue circle? That lets me know I can parry. Here's another blue circle. And now this red skull popped up over this guy's head. That means he's calling for reinforcements. They are a hive mind, like I said, so I beelined it to him to do the finisher and stop him from doing that. Now, here's the thing. I've got a lot of white health there. That's a lot of damage I took. It's not permanent. If I get a kill or a special kill, special finisher of any kind, it'll replenish that HP, and now I'm pretty set. Now, here's a stack of boxes. This is what I was talking about. So if we break these, boom, armor boost. That's one of the things you can get out of this. Now look at my armor. I got double the armor. I found some frag grenades. And my grenades can actually recharge as a Vanguard. I've leveled it up enough that if I do special finishers, I can actually get charges of grenades refunded to me. So I've got 3 big guys here. We'll toss the grenade in to weaken them. And when they're flashing red, that lets me know they can be finished. I'm going to grapple in, get that finisher. You're immune to all damage in the middle of a finisher, so make sure you're taking advantage of that fact frequently. And now this is a special type of enemy. So you've got majors, and then you've got extremes and extremists. This guy's an extremist. You'll see it in the feed in the lower left. It says True Vanguard killed. Well, you can't see it because my big dome is covering it, but he was a Ravener. They burrow underground, and they'll give you these notifications, this like yellow notification to let you know that they're about to pop up out of the ground and hurt you. So when you see that notification, just dodge. Headshots do extra damage to the smaller Tyranids. So if they're not awares, I'll often just try to pop them in the dome ski here. Now, I do know there is a special location, the direction I'm facing right now. There's an area back here behind these crates where special items can spawn. There's 2 things we're really looking for in every op. Every op, there's 2 things we really want to find. One is gene seeds. And this is one of the locations that gene seeds can spawn, is right here in this little cubby. They're not here this time. We'll find them later. But we want to find gene seeds. What they do is they give you extra XP. A lot of extra XP when you complete the mission. So it takes up the spot of your Guardian Relic. So you sacrifice the ability to self-revive, but if you complete the mission while having that the gene seed in your inventory, you will get a nice big chunk of extra XP at the end of the mission, which is great, because obviously you want to level up as quickly as possible, get as much bang for your buck. These missions are long. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, one more mission and I'll level up. But then you're like, well, one more mission is 40 minutes. You know what I mean? So you're like, well, I don't know if I actually do have time to run with this. Okay, right here, look. I'm looking for the red barrel. See that red barrel? I waited for him to get close. And so there are these environmental hazards that can really save you a lot of headache. If you look for the red explosive barrels, there's blue plasma barrels as well. And I think I'll shoot some of those later in the op as well. But yeah, so sometimes you save yourself a lot of time and heartache. Just, you know, if you see a giant mob or a big guy, but he's right next to something explosive, just shoot that thing. And then you don't have to take unnecessary damage. You know, everything in this game is dangerous. This game goes so big, like the skyboxes are just unreal. Now, I just swapped out my grenades for crack grenades so I could show those off. So I don't have a frag grenade for this mob, but we'll just shoot through them with our gun pretty easily. But crack grenades are really good at breaking through heavily armored targets. So your majors, your extremes, and your bosses. Crack grenades do lock on. They kind of home in. Come over here, by the way, and you see there's a medical syringe, a stim. So you can carry up to 2. So I had 2 on me. I used 1, picked up the fresh one to top it off. Here's I told you these stacks of crates often have good gear in them. Didn't get lucky this time. Now it says enemy wave imminent. We're going to have a bunch of baddies coming. Now we've got these, see, look at these sniper glows. They'll sort of glow this putrid green to let you know that sniper round is coming. So make sure you watch this. I'm going to dodge, boom, and then it misses. And I hit him with that crack grenade, so he's weak. So I'm actually going to grapple in here. I am playing as the Vanguard. The Vanguard is strongest when they are up close. So as a Vanguard that's leveled up, I take less damage to melee attacks, but I take more damage to ranged attacks. So I really want to be in melee range where I'm forcing these guys to pull their swords out and start doing melee attacks. So I'm definitely trying to take advantage of my parries. Part of being a good Vanguard class is knowing your combos. So right there, I'm surrounded, so I know that if I go light, 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 and then heavy attack, it'll do a stomp. So you'll see me do that a lot when I'm surrounded. Right there, it was just a perfectly timed dodge. It gave me a critical gun strike. I'm going to dodge here as well, get another critical gun strike. And those do extra damage. So look, this guy easily taken down. And it's really important to be doing those critical gun strikes when they are an option, because you are completely immune to damage when you're in those animations. So if you're going to be staying alive, especially as like a bulwark or a Vanguard, it really comes down to how well you can parry, dodge, block, all that stuff. And you can parry any physical attack that is not those yellow notifications. If it doesn't show yellow, like that right there, I parried just a standard swing that he did, and that gave me a critical gun strike. So a lot of people that I've seen playing the game already, they're waiting for just those blue notifications to let them know, hey, now I can parry this attack. You don't need to wait for it. Any physical attack that is not marked by a yellow circle or an orange circle can be parried. That right there is the data slate. So that's like pickup, lore pickup. Here we go, broke some more crates, doubled my armor. This is so important. Like you definitely need to be taking advantage of the fact that there are these stacks of boxes that you can break and just double your armor for free, and they're everywhere. Like you absolutely need it. There's another stack right here. Don't overlook that. That's gonna definitely serve you well. Right there, I saw an explosive barrel. I shot it, it primed this guy up. Now we've got 2 majors here. But it says, look at the top of my screen, it says priority target extremists. So I immediately looked around like, where is it? So it'll let you know the most intense or the highest level enemy on the battlefield. It will let you know. So this is a pair of enemies here. They spawn in pairs usually, and they are a pain in the keister. One will always be shielded, the other not. So they shield each other. See how they've got this green line going back and forth? So they sort of buff each other up. And they shoot these green orbs, and you're gonna want to dodge them. Don't dodge when you see the yellow or the orange notification pop up. It's telling you, hey, look this way. It's not saying dodge right now. So you don't want to dodge early. See this? I'm waiting for the actual green balls to come my way and then dodge them. We knocked one out of the sky. He's dead now. That makes the other one vulnerable. He's going to go down much easier now because he doesn't have that green buff from the other one to make him stronger. Boom, they're dead. Now it says targets Minoris. Now we just know that there's tiny guys on the field. So that notification on the top of your screen is always going to let you know what the strongest enemy in your vicinity is. Come down here because this is another spot where valuable loot can spawn. This time we get stims. I already have 2, so I'll take one and then pick up the extra. Here's an armor boost. Like I said, like they're everywhere, guys. They're everywhere. So I've match made some of these operations. It's just mind-boggling how many people just go straight to the main objective all the time. And then they put in the party chat, like, where are you at? What are you doing? Why am I soloing these guys? It's like, dude, I'm trying to get us extra XP. I'm trying to get you armor upgrade materials. Yeah, a lot of people just aren't aware. So I always try to let people know in the game chat if I matchmake what I'm doing before I do it. So if we're about to walk into a big area, but there are side places to go, here, Gene Seed and Stims, 2 for 1. But look at this. This is the Gene Seed. So this is one of the 2 most valuable things that we want to find. So I sacrificed my Guardian Relic. I can no longer self-res. That's okay. So we pick up the Gene Seed instead. And this is basically the genetic code of a fallen brother. So that we want to retrieve and take back home to honor them. But anyways, enough about lore. What's it actually going to do for you? It's going to give you extra XP when you complete the mission, like I said earlier. So that's one of the most valuable things you can find, because it could be the difference between getting 630 XP for a standard mission and getting almost 900 at the end of it when everything's said and done. So here we go. Now we are fighting. We've moved on from the Tyranids for a time, and now we are in this sort of temple, and we're fighting the forces of chaos. So these are Thousand Suns, Thousand Suns, and they use a lot of sorcery Now, they have all kinds of enemies. Here's guys with shields and swords. So you really want to learn your combos with your melee weapon. So I know that with the chainsword, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, that's going to give me a kick that's going to break through armor. So I'm going to use that a lot on these little armored guys. So I'll go light, kick, light, kick, light, kick. That's going to break through their armor really quickly. And it's also a really good way to take down the big guys that I'll show you here in a second when they start spawning. But once we get into the Majoris enemies and Extremis enemies, that combo is going to be really valuable because they're heavily armored and we want to do as many armor cracking attacks as possible. You saw I did a dodge there. It's because I saw like a blue line letting me know that there's a sniper, that guy. And up where he was is a spot where Armory upgrade points frequently spawn. These guys, we don't like them. Flamethrower dudes. So I put a crack grenade on him. I've been sitting on those, but now that he's flashing red, one of the abilities that the Vanguard has is the grapnel launcher. Look, I just used it, and boom, I have a full charge again. I have all my charges, even though I just used it. That's because if something is finishable and I grapple to it, it'll automatically queue up the finisher, and then it will refund the grapnel charge. So I just used my grapnel launcher twice back to back, and I still have all my charges. That's one thing that the Vanguard can do. Now look, this right here, Armory data. This is what we want. This is the other really valuable resource that you can find in Ops. So that stuff, oh, here's a Melt-A-Bomb. Let me grab that. I'll talk about that in a second. But the Armory data you can then take back to the Armory at the Battle Barge and level up your weapons. So eventually you'll cap out on XP on your weapon and you'll just stop earning XP altogether until you spend Armory data to ascend it to the next level. Now, let me talk about this Melt-A-Bomb I just picked up. It's like a plasma bomb. Now, it does huge damage. Watch this. I'm gonna toss it down, run away, and hold detonate. Boom. And those were two Majoris enemies, and they immediately died. So you only get one of them. These Melt-A-Bombs. You can't hold, like, you can hold 3 frags, you can hold 2 crack grenades, you can only hold 1 Melt-A-Bomb. It's like a brick of C4. You throw it down, you have to hold the grenade button again to detonate it. Now we're kind of getting pushed in here by a bunch of Majoris enemies. So in order to stay alive, you really want to be doing your executions when you're getting surrounded like that. That little dude looked like a Sand People from Star Wars. But we're just going to gang up on him. And here, I'm doing what I told you, the light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, because that's going to do the armor breaking kick attack. So we want to punch through their armor. See how, like, this purple energy comes shooting out of them? You might think, oh, is there, like, not a human in there? Well, it used to be a human. It used to be a human. But, like I said, you see they explode into energy. They've been sort of disintegrated, and their spirit is bound inside that armor. They used to be Astartes like us, Space Marines. Now, I kind of make a choice here. I am playing the Vanguard. I kind of push forward while another wave spawned behind us, which is a little bit risky because now we're going to get pinned in between. We're going to get sandwiched between two. So he's doing a big AoE attack, so just got to get out of the way of that. And then he teleports up to me. So I'm kind of backing up to get next to my teammates again. I want to weaken him and then grapple back in. So backpedal out of the range of the fire and then grapple in for the finisher. And my kick attack does a lot of damage. It's really good for weakening these big targets. So, like I said, now we're kind of getting sandwiched in here. But we're going to start chaining these executions. And you'll see, like, even though we're surrounded, even though we are actually taking a ton of damage, the fact that we're doing all these finishers is going to keep our armor charges replenishing. It's going to refund any physical damage that we do take to our red health bar. Isn't permanent, like I said. If you're doing finishers, you're going to be regenerating it over time. I see a gun strike, I take advantage of it. That way we don't cut into our red health just yet. But remember that when you're doing these animations for these critical gun strikes, the executions, you have immunity. So the more time you spend in these animations, the less damage you're going to take in the middle of these mobs. So, staying alive, and I'll probably do a full video where I do some combat tips in general in this game, because staying alive is not always easy to do. So, learning how to queue up these special attacks that will give you immunity and refund armor is a really big part of about staying alive. But this was a pretty chaotic encounter right here, with us getting sandwiched in a massive enemy wave. And it'll let you know at the top of the screen what kind of an encounter you've got, massive enemy wave. So we cleared these punks out. Now, moving forward, we're going to want to clear these altars. That's going to be a big part about what we're doing now. Since I did so many finishers, I actually got my Melt-A-Bomb replenished, which is, like I said, that's a Vanguard ability. Doing finishers can replenish your grenade charges. Here's another armor boost. You know, like I said, always from start to finish, I'll be looking for those stacks of boxes so that I can get double armor for free. Why not? So we just have to stay in the radius of these things in order to bring the barrier down, and then we're gonna crush the Eye of Sauron every time, and I'll show you that in a second. Like I said, you can parry anything, and that was just parrying a standard physical attack from that guy. Okay, this guy's calling for reinforcements. You see the red skull over his head. So as a Vanguard, my job, since I can close gaps quickly, my job is to say no, 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 no. So if you're playing as the Vanguard, just know that that's something that you specifically need to be looking out for, because other people aren't going to be able to get up to those guys. Gun damage doesn't really stun them or interrupt their, you know, their attempt to call for help. We don't want those extra enemies to spawn. I mean, if everyone's focus firing them down, you can bring them down before they call for help. But generally speaking, gun damage does not do a very good job of killing those guys. So use the grapnel launcher. As soon as the grapnel attaches to him, it's going to interrupt his calling for help. So it's not necessarily when you kick him, it's when you latch it onto him. Here's a guy. I know I get free charges for execution, so since he's glowing red, I'm just going to go ahead and use the grapnel on him, and boom, we get replenished. Now I want to show you this. We already have the gene seed and we already have our armory data, but I want to show you this location right here next to the elevator is one of the spots that the gene seed can spawn in. So if you didn't get it yet, check that spot before you get to the elevator and go down and leave it behind. I hope all this is helpful. I'm just trying to give generic tips as we go, let you know what an operation looks like, what you're going to be actually doing in an operation. Beautiful skybox. Big dude, this is an extremist, so I don't want him to start casting, so I'm literally going to use my grapnel just to get in there and spam that light heavy to break through his armor, finish him off. So that was a Terminator, so we don't want him to cause a lot of problems for us. So that's one of the reasons I really like playing as the Vanguard, is that you kind of have the freedom on the battlefield to select high value targets and prioritize the thing that you think is the most dangerous without having to wade through you know, waves of smaller enemies to get to the big guy. I can just close that gap immediately and make sure that I shut him down early before he becomes a problem. This guy's calling for backup. This is one of the things I just talked about. That's my job as a Vanguard, is to grapple to him and make sure he doesn't get to do that. This encounter here is just a big fight between both. Here comes the parry. Ooh, clean. But anyways, this fight here has both Tyranids and you know, the forces of chaos. So it's a nice fun encounter here as you kind of get to hop back and forth between the two. Make sure you're taking out the little guys, because they will just run to the corners and use the snipers. And they're a pain. They don't do a ton of damage, but it's enough to keep your health down. Keep you from regenerating. My AI heavy here has got his shield up. You can always stand behind that shield and shoot alongside him too, which is what I would have done if that guy didn't teleport behind me. This guy's flashing red, so I know I can finish him and get a free charge back. When I'm in the middle of this finisher, I'm going to spin the camera around and try to plan my next move. It's basically like a timeout of sorts that says, I'm immune to damage, I'm doing this animation, but I can spin the camera around and get a lay of the land, understand what the battlefield looks like. I don't know if you caught that, but I ran next to that mob. I threw a brick of C4 onto him and detonated it. I didn't turn around to look at it, but I know it did a lot of damage. But cool guys don't look at explosions, so I just walked away. Little gun strike here, boom. Give me a chunk of armor charge back. Light, heavy, light, heavy. Now he's executable. Kill the tiny guys here and then move on. You can lock in a finisher, by the way, from pretty far away. So you can look at a guy and hit E when you're, I'd say, maybe 10 yards away, and it'll just make you run up to him and lock it in. At this point, we just got the little guys. We got some extra dudes coming up behind us, but we are going to, oh, see that? that tell that I was about to get sniped, so I did a dodge, spun, and shot him. But anyways, I'm going to keep moving forward here. I know we've got another wave of enemies that will come up behind us, and sometimes this game is like that. It'll just, if you're not moving forward, it'll just keep sending guys to you. Light heavy, he's executable. He's toast. As soon as I come out of the animation, I saw that guy was eyeing me with his gun, so as soon as I came out of the finisher, I dodged to the right. His shots then missed me. Alright, now this, I'm going to show you this guy that's about to be right around the corner, is an extremist. Yeah, so priority target extremist, he just spawned. He's like a psychic attacker. So here's what you're gonna notice is if he does his big psychic AoE on me, he has these little shields that spin around him. So if I get hit by his big psychic AoE, what he's gonna do, he's like an illusionist. He's inside my head, and he's gonna make it so that I'm seeing things that aren't there. That attack right there. So we killed him, but notice I've got this like cloudy, like I'm in a fog hearing. And notice these guys aren't doing any damage to me. That's because they're not real. I got hit by this guy's psychic attack. I'm seeing enemies that don't exist. And so if you're in the heat of combat with a big mob and he does an attack on you, it's really hard to distinguish what's real and what isn't. So just bear that in mind. Get some frag grenades. There's a bunch of dudes over there, so I toss it, dodge back to get inside my teammate's little bubble. Now these guys are all weak. I just hit them. They're all Majoris. This one's calling for aid, but I throw a grenade at his feet. It breaks that. And I know that I can recharge my grenade charges here with a bunch of finishers. So I'm gonna keep working at that. Do a little parry here. Critical gun strike. Now he's executable. We do it. So at this point, we're trying to take this elevator down to the lower level. And you know, not every run of the same operation is gonna play exactly the same. So this encounter has a couple different ways it can go. It could spawn an extremist enemy that's you know, a psychic dealer, and you could have to fight him on the second floor before going down. Or you could get this encounter that I get this time around is going to force me to get off the elevator on the second floor and go hit a couple of switches before we can go down to the final floor. Be liberal with your grenades. You definitely want to use them when they're going to be valuable instead of hanging on to them. Like I said, I got to go hit a couple of switches here. I'll hit the first. It'll make me hold for a minute, and then it'll make me go hit the second. This guy's calling for help, so I'm going to grapple to him and say no thank you. It's really important to know what your kit is capable of, because that will dictate what you do, what choices you make in the moment. As the Vanguard, I know that it's my job to take down the guys that are calling for help, so I always try to make sure I have at least one charge cooled down and ready to go. But also understanding the strengths of your class. Like, I know that mine is really all about melee combat, so I'll take care of trash mobs from a distance, but when it comes to actually having the big important fights, here by the way, look, whole mob dead in one bullet, because I saw the plasma barrels right behind him. Make sure you're keeping an eye out for that kind of stuff. Save you a lot of heartache. But anyways, like I was saying, as a Vanguard, I know that I take less damage from melee attacks and more damage from ranged attacks. So I want to be up in the mix, forcing them to holster their weapons and pull out their melee attacks instead. Some of the finishers in this game are absolutely freaking brutal. Especially with the Tyranids, like ripping off their legs and impaling them with their own legs is kind of intense. So blue cloud's gonna let me know that a wave is spawning. We've got the flamethrower dudes are really dangerous, so we definitely want to finish them off as quickly as possible because they do really big AoE damage. And as a Vanguard, they're really tricky to fight because you have to get in close to them, but they do fire damage around them in a circle. And they also have the flamethrower will just chew through your armor instantly. Look at this. Look at how much damage it does. So I gotta like dodge around him, get behind him, use my critical gun strike to get a little extra HP. Do another one. Now I've got full armor, but again, it gets deleted immediately by these flamethrowers. So it's sort of this like song and dance of get armor, lose armor, get armor, lose armor. I like how he says they were no Astartes. Like, well, they used to be. All right, this is the final encounter, right? We've got our gene seed, we've got our armory data, we have everything like high value that we wanted to get. So at this point, I'm just gonna beeline it to the end. So this is a real, this world is wild, by the way, right? The whole Warhammer 40k world is wild. It's like demons and witches and warlocks meets sci-fi. And look at this dude. This is a literal demon. I'm gonna show you here in a second. I'll look up at him so you get a good view of him. But he's like a freaking, I don't know, like a bird demon of some kind. He looks great. But basically our goal here is, this guy's disrupting communications. Oh, here's a free armor boost. I'm gonna grab that. And see these sigils that are going on the floor? This is one of the 3 attacks he can do. So we definitely want to get out of those when he puts them down. But look at him, he's tethered to this dude, right? What we want to do is cut these chains. We want to deactivate these chains. That might sound like a bad idea. Like, are we untethering this guy? Well, he exists in the warp, but he needs to be tethered to a physical body in order to be allowed to exist here in the physical realm. Because he lives in sort of this psychic realm, and we want to make sure that he stays there. So we are going to, same thing we've been doing throughout this operation, you stand in the circle so that this becomes vulnerable, you crush the Eye of Sauron, and you move on to the next one. So we need to sever all 4 of these. We've got 1 out of 4 down. I'm going to toss a grenade on that. Spawn point just to get a little bit of free damage on these guys. We definitely want to stay in that circle as much as possible, but the demon in the middle is going to be dishing out some attacks. I already showed you the AoE little sigils that spawn on the ground, but he does other attacks too, like shooting skulls at us. And then there's this other, the skulls you can shoot out of the air. I'll show you that. I think it's on like plate 3 or 4. But he also shoots out these volleys of indestructible projectiles that we are going to have to dodge in real time. So standing behind pillars, obviously, great way to do that. Or if you really want a full send on capping the plate, you can stand on the plate and just spam dodge when they get close to you. He's a pretty cool looking enemy, no doubt. Here's the sigils on the ground. So I'm going to be dodging those. Gunstrike. You can hear the audio cue letting you know this guy's calling for backup, so I spin to him. We deactivated the fields. Now we can interact with this and destroy the Eye of Sauron. Alright, 2 down, 2 to go. Try not to get, you know, held up on the little guys, but just move on. Free armor charge off that dude. Flamethrower over there, I'm out of his range, so I'm just gonna stay put and shoot him down. Alright, so my AI teammates will actually call it out. So here we go. The skulls are coming in. So we're just gonna pick them off one at a time, easy peasy. And we can stay put. So that's the best attack he can do, honestly. Assuming you've cleared the other ads, because you can just bang him down really easy peasy. Flamethrower dude, I'm just gonna say no thank you right off the bat because he spawned alone, so grapple in, do big damage. Light, heavy, do the execution. Make sure you take the time to learn the combos for your preferred melee weapons so you know what to use on what enemies. This is the last altar, so I'm gonna full send on it. Here's the barrage attack. Now you've seen all of what he's got. So I want to stay on the point, so I'm just gonna dodge right, left, right, left, right, left. Sigils on the ground. I'm gonna stay in the radius while I'm dodging them. And then once this thing is down, I'm gonna want to just, the mission ends as soon as you crush the last eye. So we get this big mob. It says massive enemy wave. It's like, oh, bad timing for that because we're almost done with the mission. So I'm just kind of dodging around in a circle, trying to create a little room for myself. Now, as soon as I crush this, it's over. But a sigil spawned on the ground, and I was like, oh, that's going to kill me if I'm not careful. So now I'm just going to full send. Crush the eye. I've got like no HP because I just went for it, but mission's over now. We're good. He looks pretty cool, doesn't he? The Warhammer 40k world is friggin' wild. It's monsters and magic and gods and demons and wizards and all that stuff. But it's also like Space Marine, you know, Master Chief style, big dude in armor with a gun. It's like, well, which is it? This sort of meshes the two worlds together. But now we've completed the op. You've seen the full op, start to finish. And now, what do we do next? Okay, so this is the dopamine hit you get after you complete a mission. I mean, that mission was what, 35 minutes long? And, you know, you can do it faster. Obviously, if you've got people that aren't AI combatants working alongside you, if you've got a full fire team of people, you can crank through these a bit quicker if everyone's playing their part. But we get 630 XP base, but look, so we picked up the gene seed found, gives a plus 185, and then you get an additional 10 for all of these things, including items found. And since I was searching for items a bunch, I get some extra free XP. So 865 XP right there. And I also had clearly the most melee damage too, because I'm playing as the Vanguard. But there we go. Well on our way to the next level. We get some rewards here. Currency to spend on cosmetics. The Armory data that we picked up, boom, that's where it pops up and shows us, yep, you made it out with the Armory data and a new cosmetic reward as well. This is where it'll show you if you leveled up any of your guns. Mine are all maxed out right now until I get the purple currency. So in order to get the purple currency, I need to complete operations on a higher tier of difficulty. And so in order to do that, I need to level up so that we're not so squishy. So right now I'm just grinding the levels so I can get strong enough to take on the higher difficulty, operations, and then continue to ascend our gear higher and higher and higher, and get better and better and better. Here we go. So if you leveled up at all, you'll be able to buy new perks here for your build. I'm over halfway through the Vanguard skill tree at this point, and I'm loving it. Check out our armor we got. We got a new cosmetic upgrade here, new helmet. You can see this is Decimus is his name, is the guy that is the Vanguard, and you can play tic-tac-toe on his forehead. So I really like the skull helmet, so with the green eyes and the skull on the forehead. So that's one that I'll stick with. But yeah, you can play tic-tac-toe right there on his noggin if you get bored with the dudes, with the boys out on a mission, get a little downtime, a little tic-tac-toe on the head. All right. That's it, y'all. That's an operation, start to finish. What it's like, what to expect from it, what you're going to be responsible to do, the high-value loot that you can find while you're there in these ops, how to spend your mastery points, and how to get armory data, all that stuff. That's all wrapped up in operations. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, let me know by leaving a like in the video, as that's the best free way to support the content right here on YouTube, and expect plenty more Space Marine content in the days to come. I think I'd like to do some lore stuff as well, help people understand the world that they're going to be fighting in, understanding the words they're going to be hearing, because a lot of it's a little overwhelming. The game does not like, hey, here's Warhammer 40k lore 101. It doesn't do any of that. It just throws Warhammer 40k knowledge at, like, words at you, and you're like, I don't have a freaking clue what a Primarch is. I don't know what the Chaos is. What's the Warp? What is... I don't know any of this stuff. We'll walk through that. So... anyways, all right, thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys. Be warm and well fed. Courage and honor, brothers.